The glory days of Australia and China's trade relations may be over, but there remains a big focus and hope on lifting dialogue with Beijing out of the deep freeze. The UK has reached an agreement to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership from Friday. China is also mounting a bid to join that trading bloc. So what would we think of that? I spoke to the Tourism and Trade Minister Don Farrell a short time ago and started by asking about whether AUKUS could put a thaw on relations on the back burner.
None whatsoever, Tom. We've got officials up there this week. I think I've reported to you in the past that one of the things we did after meeting with the Chinese Trade Minister was put some life back into discussions between our officials, and that's happening as we speak in China. Things are going well, but of course it'll take some time to turn this ship around, and we're working very hard on it.
So, because it's not, an official formal ban or tariff or whatever, it's just the unofficial, non-acceptance of Australian goods, whatever it might be. How do you work that out? Do you say, look, here are the 10 things we'd really like to see get proper access again? Does your counterpart admit that they're not getting proper access, or do they sort of talk in circles? How does that actually work?
Look, each product, interestingly, is different, Tom. Some relate to tariffs. Some relate to regulatory rules that apply. We're aware of all of the items that have been the subject of these trade impediments, and one by one we're working through them. Some of them, of course, relate to disputes with the World Trade Organization. So each one we're carefully working through with the Chinese officials, and we hope that in the very near future that results in an opportunity for me to visit China and start making significant progress on removing all of these trade impediments.
So is that imminent? A trip?
Look, we're not far away. I think
okay.
I can tell you that.
Like a few weeks?
The discussions are going well. The discussions are going well. I don't want to preempt how they might finish, but all the messages that are coming back to me from China are very, very positive.
As trade relations do normalise, do you offer warnings when you're talking to companies and big exporters that don't get too reliant again on China like we were last time? We can't have, if you're a company or an exporter, you never know if we'll be back in the freezer again. Is that the reality?
Look, we've made it very clear that our policy is a trade diversification policy. So that means getting back into China, but also opening up with India, the United Kingdom, with the European Union. All of those agreements are either being implemented at the moment or very close to finalisation.
And that's the macro, but at the micro, do you warn companies that go, look, I can't guarantee as Trade Minister the door's open, it doesn't shut again?
Look, I talk to all of the companies in my space that I can make contact with, and try and give them that sensible message that we are about diversification. For instance, on the weekend, lobsters were imported into India tariff-free for the first time. So a very, very positive sign. And as you know, we've had problems with lobsters into China. Well, now we're getting them into India.
Yeah, and so India is seen as a big part of the answer, and also a bulwark against China, a powerhouse and also a democratic one. Is there any concern, though, about the strength of that democracy under Prime Minister Modi, in particular around treatment of Muslims?
Look, we were there a couple of weeks ago with the Prime Minister. This fellow is a very popular leader in India, and of course he's coming to Australia in a few weeks as part of the Quad discussions. We're building a very strong relationship with India, and I think, I had discussions with my trade equivalent. We currently do about $50 billion worth of trade with India. He wants to double that to $100 million. In the first month of this year, $2.5 billion worth of Australian trade came into India at tariffs lower than the month before. So things are going well. We want a good relationship with India. Of course, we, as a democracy, we feel that we've got an awful lot in common with that country.
Right, and clearly more so compared to China as a democracy, but we've raised a lot of concerns previously about the treatment of Uyghur Muslims in China. I'm not saying the same thing's going on in India, but is it at least a watching brief that if Australia did have genuine concern Muslims were being either discriminated against or even persecuted, that we would be willing to raise that?
Look, we have a historical position on human rights. We raise them wherever we find them.
Same for India if that happens.
Well, we don't treat India any differently in terms of our approach to human rights. But can I say this? The relationship with India is very, very strong. There's, you could see it at all of the discussions I attended, a very close bond between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Albanese. And I think that's only going to get stronger into the future. Okay,
now just finally, China wants to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the trade group. Would it be an appropriate partner given the way it's acted on trade?
Okay, so the immediate issue before the CPTPP, as it's called.
I opted not to use that one.
No, you can get tied up a bit there, Tom. The immediate issue is dealing with the application by the United Kingdom. And all of the countries and the United Kingdom met last Friday virtually, and we have made substantial agreement on the admission of the United Kingdom into that agreement. That's our immediate priority, and there's still a few steps, Tom, that need to be done.
Right, but China's in the queue here, isn't it? What's your view as Australia's Trade Minister on China? Because that's a big question whether they join.
So the good thing about the United Kingdom trade agreement was that we've established the boundaries or the rules for accession. So there's a range of countries, including China, Taiwan, perhaps Korea, Ecuador, Costa Rica. A lot of countries want to join that agreement because it's obviously very good for long-term trading arrangements. We'll consider all of those applications on their merits, but bear in mind this: it's got to be a unanimous decision.
Yes,
one country can't say, "Look, let's bring."
Well, every country has a veto right, effectively.
Correct.
So on that, when you said we've established the rules on those barriers established with the UK around trade records and how countries behave and openness and so on, is it fair to say on current form China would not be allowed to join?
Look, we've established the new rules for accession. If China proceeds with their application, then they'll be treated exactly the same way as we treated the United Kingdom. We'll give consideration to their application, but bear in mind this: there are a lot of other countries who'd also like to join.
But on those current rules and China's current behaviour, if you like, on trade, they don't seem compatible, do they?
Look, we've raised very publicly our concerns about the trade impediments that China has imposed on Australia. China's got a right to apply if they so wish, and we'll make decisions based on the rules that we've established now in respect of the United Kingdom.
China's behaviour on trade in recent years wouldn't accord with what the TPP wants to be, though, would it?
Look, we'll deal with all of the issues that might arise should China continue with its application in due course and in consultation with our friends, including the United Kingdom, in that agreement.
All right, Trade Minister Don Farrell, thanks for your time.
Nice talking with you, Tom.